Remember my days at Procter & Gamble. One of my early mentors told me, when you hire, you look for people that can check 3 boxes: integrity, intelligence, and initiative. Everything else you can coach, but you got to have those 3 fundamental attributes. Senator Toomey, you have truly modeled that for me personally, as you have served the United States Senate, as you have led so well as a ranking member on this committee. You'll be dearly missed. Thank you for your sacrifices. Echo Senator Scott's comments. I'll never forget the work we did together on the tax cut bill and cutting taxes for small businesses. A moment that we did a big thing together, and thank you for that. In a petition to the Supreme Court on November 14th, the CFPB asked the court to reverse the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling that determined that CFPB's unprecedented power to fund itself was unconstitutional. The petition claims that the CFPB's funding is constitutional because Dodd-Frank authorized the CFPB Director to unilaterally decide how large its budget can be and mandates that Federal Reserve transfer the requested funds. However, the Constitution prohibits federal agencies such as the CFPB from spending federal treasury without, quote, appropriations made by law, end quote. In its decision, the Fifth Circuit writes that an expansive agency insulated from Congress's purse strings, expressly exempt from budgetary review, and headed by a single director removable at the president's pleasure is the epitome of the unification of the purse and the sword of the executive. I believe it's highly likely that the Supreme Court ultimately reviews this case and upholds the Fifth Circuit decision. My Republican colleagues and I have continually asked for our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to join us in reforming the CFPB. That offer sincerely remains on the table. And now turning to my questions. Director Chopra, during your last appearance before the committee, you stated, following a question of mine, that, quote, consumers benefit from a transparent and competitive market. A transparent and competitive market will help develop lower cost, small dollar loan products, end quote. Director Chopra, under your leadership, what steps has the Bureau taken to create an open and competitive market for consumers to ensure continued access to small dollar loan and financing products?
That's a great question. So 2 things that come to mind. One is that we have really put an effort to make sure that our credit card market is extremely vibrant. Credit cards are the biggest source of small dollar loans in America. It's a place where so many people are able to afford things, even if they may not have the liquidity. We're looking at ways for small banks and credit unions to be able to play a bigger role in the credit card market, to be able to help refinance credit card debt, and much more. We've also proposed implementing a long dormant authority called Section 1033. This is how fintechs, non-banks, and small banks may be able to access customers at lower customer acquisition costs by allowing permission data. So you would be able to move your data and use it as a way to be underwritten potentially for lower cost credit elsewhere. So I really see that technology, we can harness it in a way that creates more opportunities for new entrants, more opportunities for small players, because right now, small dollar lending and credit cards, it's dominated by just a handful of the largest. The truth is local banks would be very good at serving people in that market, and we're looking for more ways to support them doing that as well.
Thanks, Dr. Chopra. I want to go to another lane here, and that's about abusive practices. In late September, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce filed a lawsuit challenging the legality of CFPB's changes to the Unfair, Deceptive, or Abusive Acts or Practices, UDAP, exam manual. While lawmakers such as myself and many here expect the CFPB to enforce legislation that protects consumers against discrimination, it seems as though the Bureau has unilaterally decided, without congressional oversight, that UDAP now includes disparate impact liability. In the 12 years since Dodd-Frank was enacted, neither Congress nor the CFPB has claimed that the legislation authorizes disparate impact under UDAP. Unfortunately, instead of implementing these changes in an open and very transparent rulemaking process, your Bureau simply issued a press release announcing a very controversial change. Back in 2018, the CFPB disparate impact guidance for auto lending was overturned by Congress after the Bureau's enforcement methodologies were found to be flawed and, importantly, not authorized by statute. Now it appears as if your Bureau is attempting to implement disparate impact guidance, not just for lenders, but for all consumer financial products and services, and we're hearing a lot about that. Putting aside whether this tactic is legal or not, which I do not believe it is, do you think the CFPB's implementation of disparate impact guidance through a press release without congressional authorization or a notice and comment rulemaking is a transparent way to make policy changes?
So I appreciate the question, Senator Daines. So this is not a disparate impact. Senator Toomey has claimed this many times, and it's just not true. I'm happy to talk you through the legal details of it, but I want to answer the question you've really posed at the end, which is about transparency. One of the things that Senator Toomey and others have really expressed is that they worry about regulation by enforcement, the sense that firms should know what's obligated of them under existing law. So one of the things we've done is we've tried our best to find lots of different ways to issue guidance that doesn't have the force of law, but it gives entities a sense of what does the current law require. In the case you mentioned of the exam manual, that's really also about consistent examination. The manual is guidance for examiners that when they are investigating potential discriminatory or other unlawful conduct, how might it implicate some of the existing laws that Congress has authorized and prohibited? In many situations, illegal conduct can violate multiple laws, but I want to figure out, and I'm happy to work with you to figure out, what is the way to be transparent, but also, how to best.
I'm way over time. One last sentence. I appreciate you expressing interest in supporting community banks, smaller banks, and competition. I think it's important you get the feedback early in that rulemaking process from all entities, including these smaller banks, community banks. Thank you.